Let's do this.
It's time for Hangin' with Langan.
I like that she's got a big dirty mouth that gets her in trouble.
Wow. Oh my gosh, hello, how are you? Welcome to the official kickoff of the second season of Hangin' with Langan. This is where we chat with an A team of guests, from actors to authors to alcoholics, which oftentimes could be comics. We go from the serious to the silly. It's where comedy connects with curiosity, and hopefully it's always fun and always smart. If you're seeing this, I would love for you to share this, start a watch party. This is going to be an awesome show because I'm kicking off season 2 of Hangin' with Lang with two great guests. Comic Julia Scotti, she killed it on America's Got Talent. And you will find out what she told the judges that had them awestruck and the audiences on their feet. And it wasn't a joke. So it's really amazing. You'll hear all about that. She is front and center, the focus of a documentary called Julia Scotti, Funny That Way. It's streaming nationally right now, at October 16th, through the 27th at newfest.org. That's the New York LGBTQ Film Festival. But we'll be talking all about that and how you can get tickets. And we're also going to be joined by the film's director, Susan Sandler. I love this woman. She's so brilliant, so talented. She's done so much, which we'll also talk about. And she wrote the Golden Globe nominated film, Crossing Delancey. So let me fill you guys in on what's going to happen here. I'm going to be coming to you live on Facebook, the timeline, the page, and the group page, Hangin' with Langan. And you have all been so supportive. We're also going to be on all the podcast platforms in general, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as patreon.com, Patreon. So we are sponsor free here because what we're doing is we're building a community, and that is you. So you have all been so supportive, and you're the ones who encouraged me to create this Patreon page. Yes, Monica Corton. And it's patreon.com, Maureen Langan. I'll put that up for you. But what is Patreon? It's a place where you can go and you become a producer of this show by supporting with a monthly subscription that begins at like $5. I mean, come on, that's cheaper than a Starbucks latte, and up to $1,000 for you rich people. So we don't have sponsors. You guys are my producers. And when you become a producer at Patreon, I give you bonus episodes just for you, interviews, post-show chats, my rants, my little videos, vintage Mo. I open up my vault and bring to you some of my great chats from my broadcasting world, from Anderson Cooper to, do you remember Agent 99, Barbara Feldman? I interviewed her. I mean, I don't know how old she is now, but she was like right there and sharp as anything. Anyway, this is all content you're not going to get on the podcast platforms or here on Facebook Live. You're going to get those at patreon.com, and you keep the content coming. We'll have Q&As. Merchandise. Of course, I have the merchandise. This is so hysterical. You see, I have my Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt, and I have my Don't Make Me Hate You buttons, and a lot of other stuff. At different levels. I have levels like Carol Burnett, Dolly Parton, Rhoda, Joan Rivers, Ernestine. You don't have to, I want to be able for us to speak freely, and we don't have some guy in a suit telling us what we can talk about. So I just launched Patreon today. I would love for you to go to check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you sign up at a $5 or $10 level, the Carol Burnett, Dolly Parton levels, I will send you a Don't Make Me Hate You pin. And usually that's at the higher levels of pin, but it's cute. And at the 25 level, you'll get a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt, a small to 2X. All right. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. And I am ready now to kick off this season. Let me set this up. I'm going to start it with a little video clip of Julia Scotti, a fantastic comic.
I'm at this age where if I were on a sinking ship and there weren't enough lifeboats to go around, right? And I was getting the last seat on the last boat. And just as I was about to climb on board, this young girl comes up, give me the sad face, like I'm supposed to change places with her. Seriously, I'm supposed to say something noble, like, dear, I've had a good life. You take my seat on the lifeboat. I didn't get to be this old by giving up my seat on a lifeboat. You're going to have to learn to live with disappointment. At least for a couple of more minutes, you know.
Julia Scotti with me now, hanging with Langan.
Langan, I'm hanging. I couldn't hear that. Were they able to hear that?
Yeah, they were able to hear it. You were in the muted room, but they could hear it just fine. You killed it on America's Got Talent. What was that like for you?
The killing it part. It was well, it was life changing. You know, to say the least. It was surreal. You know, because if you've ever done network television, you don't really feel like 13 million people are watching. You feel like,
please.
Well, you can't think of it that way. I mean, I just went out thinking, all right, I've worked theaters before. This is a big theater. I'm just gonna go. It's another show. It's just another show. The coming out part was a little weird.
All right. Well, I want to set that up. And Julia is transgender. She's a comic.
I am.
Have been born Rokc Scotti. And yes, don't call her transgender comic because she's a comic. She is a comic. I'm not a female comic. I mean, I am, but I'm a comic. But I want to show them the clip.
Okay.
You know, your film, we're going to talk about the documentary, Julia Scotti, Funny That Way is the documentary, but we're going to get into all that. Oh, I saw that. It's so good. This had me crying. Let's show this. This is on America's Got Talent. You did not plan to say this. I know that because I asked you. Here we go.
Well, I'll clarify that after, if you want to wait after the clip.
Yes, here we go. Rock on.
I'm going to have Howie tell you what he thought.
You are a joy. You have so much to offer. Can I ask you a question? Sure. Why did you start so late in life?
I was 28 when I started, and I did it for 20 years, and then I took 11 years off. I became a teacher, and there was other issues. Do you want to know what they were?
I would like.
Well, for the first 28 years of my life, I was known as Rokc Scotti.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So this is big for me. Yeah.
Well, you know, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you're human. And you're funny.
Thank you.
And you're talented.
Thank you.
And you're brave. And I'm so glad we got to see you.
Okay, I've seen that about 5 times. And look at me. Talk about that.
It's the mother of all coming out stories. They left. I've been asked if the judges knew. I don't know. I suspect probably, but I can never know for sure.
Their reactions seem so real.
That was the thing.
Looking and looking.
Yeah. But the producer, the exec producer, left it up to me. And really, because he said to me just before I walked out, he goes, "Are you gonna do it?" I go, "I don't know." And you're a comic, you know how we have in our head, we have like that. There's a whole board of directors up in our head, meeting while we're on stage. And
totally.
Yeah, and so they were having a meeting about should we or shouldn't we, and when he asked me that, I just took it. I thought. The board said, look, we can maybe help people if we do this. And so I just took a deep breath and it just fell out of my mouth. And I waited. And it would seem like forever for them to absorb it. And then all of a sudden from the back of the auditorium, this was a huge room. It was like 2,500 seat room. This wave, and I could see people standing. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Are they gonna, are they coming after me?
No. Well, let me ask you this: this is all live, right? Or is this pre-taped?
That was taped. I did 3 shows. The first 2 were taped. The last one was live. First one, that you're referring to, we did at the Pasadena Civic Center, which is a big theater. But no, it was taped.
Well, let's see what the judges had to say about you, Julia.
Well, you are a piece of work, Julia, aren't you? I mean, you know, like the nice sort of granny school teacher, all sweet, and then you go into your routine, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about surprises. They're never ending with you, are they?
So let's vote. Howie.
It's obvious. You're a yes.
Heidi.
Definite yes.
Obviously, sweetie, it's a yes.
And you got your fourth yes from me.
Julia Scotti, Funny That Way, is a documentary where she is front and center focus. This is about her life from Rokc Scotti to becoming Julia, and it is at the newfest.org. This is the New York City LGBTQ Film Festival, October 6th through the 27th. I'll put that banner up. All right, you have got to tell me more. How has your life changed since that that night?
I don't know that it's changed that drastically. I mean, you know, for a period of time, locally, people were recognizing me on the street, and they'd come over. And every now and then now, because I got the Showtime thing going on now too.
You got Showtime too? Now what's happening?
Oh, okay. With Carol Montgomery, our producer,
Women
she
of a certain age. Yeah.
More funny women of a certain age. Yes.
Great show.
So I do, that part of it getting recognized is kind of weird for me still when it happens. But my life hasn't changed drastically. Of course, the movie now has, yes, the money was going up right up until everything shut down. Now nothing's going up. We were booked, we were booked all over the place, and then everything just fell apart.
Yeah. Now it's donations on a tip jar on Zoom.
Yeah. Working in a parking lot. I've been doing a lot of parking lot shows.
Oh, Lord.
But you know what? When I started, I was getting up at the Improv at 2 a.m, and there were 3 people in the place. I don't have an ego where, I'm too good to be doing. I'm damn right. Wherever I can work, I'm going to work.
Well, that's what we do, right? That's what we do. That's what we do. I will show in a moment a teaser from the documentary. But talk to me about becoming Julia, your childhood. Where were you born as Rokc Scotti?
Actually, Scotti is my mother's maiden name. My real name is something else. But it was a lot more Italian than Scotti. Scotti's Italian too. But I was born in Jersey, in North Jersey, in Englewood, and I was raised in Fairview, New Jersey.
I'm a Jersey girl.
Yeah, where?
Lake Hiawatha. There's no lake.
Oh, you're way the hell up there. I know.
Oh, yeah, 30 miles. Yeah, we're 30 miles from the city.
Might as well be 30 light years away.
It'll be in Kentucky. Yeah, I got
you. And I was a musician for most of my early adult life. I was a drummer.
Really?
Yeah, but strangely enough, when I was 12 or 13 years old, I was in a band with 3 other girls and me. You think that was a tell? But what
did you feel like inside? Like, what does it feel like inside to be you as Rick?
Well, when you don't know anything different, because in the era I grew up, that kind of thing just didn't happen. However, I can say every time I saw an article about Christine Jorgensen, or Renee Richards, or any transgender people from that era, I was insanely curious about it. Never thinking that was me. I knew something was not quite right with me. And I when I hit about 19, 20, I thought, well, maybe I'm gay, and that turned out not to be true. And it wasn't until I was almost 50 that, someone very close to me helped me reach the understanding of what I was. And of course, the internet had a lot of information. Not a lot back then, but much more than when I was growing up.
Let me show a clip from the film, Julia Scotti, Funny That Way, again, the newfest.org festival in New York. You have to watch it. It's streaming live. It's so fantastic, October 16th through the 27th. All right, let's talk about your boyhood. Here's a clip from the teaser of the documentary.
Okay.
Just a baby born male.
never felt quite right? Builds a career in show business. And finally decides in his late 40s that something is terribly wrong. And throws it all away to change his gender and begin life again at 50. It isn't much to speak of, but it is my life. And it is important to me.
Julia, that's powerful. It's very powerful.
Well, Susan,
Sandler, the director, who will be coming shortly, yes.
She's a brilliant woman. She knew me before we started, so we got to know each other pretty well. And I think she'll tell you the same thing. She wasn't sure where this was going as a documentary. And as she used to tell me while she was putting it together, it will unfold. Whatever the story is, it will unfold. And I think it did. And I look at some of those clips and I'm like, I know that person. I know that's me. I know I was there. I can remember it, but I can't connect to him at all.
That's what I was going to ask you. Being transgender and going through that transition from Rick to Julia, do you ever feel like Rick inside? Does your thinking change once you have the hormones and move on? Like, do you think
well, sure. I mean, hormones physically alter a lot of things,
in the brain.
But the interesting thing, you asked if I ever feel like Rick, and I can tell you that when I was Rick, I still felt like Julia, and not that there's a distinction, but I felt so comfortable in this body, like this is where I belong, that I realized, as Rick, why I was having so many problems back then, not being able to function in a relationship.
And you were married. Rick was married.
A couple of times. Well, you could say me. Yeah, it was me.
I don't know how to. I know me, he, she.
It was me. Yeah,
it was she, her, that. I always say Trump is me, me, me. But anyway.
I was married a couple of times, which is actually multiple marriages is kind of common for people in my age group who are trans, because we spent, coming up in the 50s and 60s, we were taught, the white picket fence was what you'd strive for. And no matter how hard I tried to have that, I couldn't function as a male in that household. I wanted to be the mom. I wanted to be the female of the household. And I didn't know it at the time, but once I realized what the hell was going on, it all made sense to me.
Well, a couple questions I have for you. It was very interesting in the film, Julia Scotti, Funny That Way, to watch clips of Rick making jokes. I wouldn't say overtly homophobic, but how would you say it?
That's a good way to. Well, there's that one clip where it is absolutely cringeworthy. I've since learned that many trans and gay folks went through a similar period where you're in such denial, that you'll do anything to distance yourself from having to face that truth. And the feedback I got was, go easy on yourself, Julia. I mean, you're not, don't beat yourself up over it. And I don't. It's still cringeworthy though.
Well, to watch your reactions during the documentary is very interesting. But what you have, even Julia said to me, because I was promoting your interview, and I want people to see your film and Susan's film, because it's so important and it's so riveting and it's emotional and it's funny, and it's a comics journey without the transgender, getting out at night, going to the gigs. But you said, Maureen, please, just refer to me as Julia, who was Rick and became Julia. And I said transgender comic because I wanted people to gravitate to the film. That's really, But what I notice about you seem so comfortable in your skin. You seem so great. You seem so kind. Like you were saying, hey, Maureen, even your kindness toward that. There's no defensiveness. There's just an open heart to it.
I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to get really like get a second start in life. But when I came to realize who and what I was, this sense of peace just overtook me, and I've had it ever since. So when I say I don't want to be referred to as a transgender comic, for a long time during and after AGT, every time there was an interview, it was always, transgender comic Julia Scotti, to the point where I began to think that was my name, and and it turns out I'm just, what I'm saying is, yes, I'm transgender, but I'm Julia Scotti,
First and foremost,
comedian who happens to be transgender.
Exactly. And I do, and I, other than the promoting the film, I would not have worded it that way, but it's just good to know, and it's good that you can talk about it in a way that's so kind. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. There's no point. There's enough arguing in this country these days. I
just got out of my emotional ditch about an hour ago.
I got nothing left, Rory.
I don't even have a drinking problem, and I need a sponsor. I'm like, I can't take it. Julia Scotti, I want to bring in the director of the film, but first let me just do a little bit of business, and I will bring you both back here because I need you both here.
Okay.
Film is Julia Scotti, Funny That Way. Let me put up the nice banner that that your director gave me so that people can see. There it is.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yes.
So you see where it is? It says tickets at newfest.org. Are you seeing that? And there's a lot of films that you can see here. It's through New York City, and it's the LGBTQ. I feel like there should be an S in there for me, for straight. Can't you include me a little bit?
No, you have your own festivals.
Do I? What is it?
I don't know.
So anyway, I want you to go and check that out. So another thing, you guys, we're building a community. I told you we just kicked off the second season of Hanging with Langan, and it's going to be, Julia, I'm going to put you in the green room for a moment. I'm expanding. I love my comic community. They will be on here a lot. I love them. But I'm expanding to bring in a total A team. They're the A team. But in addition to the comics, authors and actors, and I say alcoholics because they can be anyone, and everybody in between. So the goal is to be always fun and always smart, to be real, to connect with people. And, it's going to run the gamut, which I'm excited about because that's what I like doing. And this is sponsor free. So we're building a community. What you want is important to me. Our connection is important to me. So I would ask, I just started, joined patreon.com to build this community. I had no idea what patreon.com was, but go look at the site. I'd love to get your feedback. We can talk about it. You can email me. It's patreon.com, Maureen Langan. You'll see I have different levels of support. So your monthly support for like as little as $5 a month can get you a potato peeler. And if you act now, but today, what I'm doing today to kick it off is if you go and subscribe at the $5 or $10 level, I will send you a Don't Make Me Hate You pin. And if you subscribe at the $25 level, I'll get you a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. We go from small to 2X. But more importantly is you keep the content coming. And each level, that whether you go the Carol Burnett level or the Joan Rivers level or the Rhoda level, you'll get different treats at those levels. Content only for you. After this show, Julia's going to stay with me, and we're going to talk about her dating life as Julia. Things that people say that we can learn from, like shut the frig up, learn. I mean, that's how I'll talk. She won't talk like that. We'll go even deeper behind that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Julia back in, and here she is. And I'm excited we're going to bring on the director. Why don't you introduce the director, Julia?
Oh, maybe I'd love to be. This woman you talk about how has my life changed? Having Susan Sandler in my life has changed everything. She is a brilliant woman. She's smart, witty, urbane, far more sophisticated than I am, insanely talented. And she's the director of this documentary about me. And her name is Susan Sandler, and I love her.
Well, let's bring her in. Susan Sandler. Hi, Susan.
I love you right back, Julia. You know I do.
Susan, I've had the pleasure of knowing you and meeting you and spending some time with you when I did comedy in Nantucket. Tell me how you came to be the director of Julia Scotti, Funny That Way.
Well, the idea of what an indie doc is begins with falling in love with a subject, falling in love with a journey, and it's a journalistic experience, which I know, Maureen, you can understand as a journalist. When you become obsessed with any subject, any individual, you begin to figure out how you're going to illuminate a story that you care about. And I met Julia first on stage. I saw her work, and I was transported.
Where were you?
She was at the Dreamland on Nantucket on a great bill that was organized by the wonderful Jane Condon.
Who happens? Let's give her a shout out. Jane Condon.
Yeah, Jane Condon. Yeah, who's also
produced this.
She's an executive producer on this film, right?
And a good friend.
And a lovely friend, and just a beautiful human being. And she brought and continues to bring incredible talent to Nantucket, to the Dreamland.
She's great. Jane does a lot for other comics, a lot.
And I always hang out with folks. That's part of the experience for me, is hanging out with the great talent that she brings. And I was just completely blown away by Julia Scotti on stage. Everything about her comedy was so rich and honest and riveting in a way that made me feel like I was watching early Richard Pryor. It had that kind of incredible impact. Yeah, I really felt that. And I wanted to get to know her more. I wanted to find out as much as I could about who she is and what she does, and how I could support her. And I had worked with Jane Condon on a one-woman show. I'd helped her put that together and produce it. And I just put that on the table with Julia. Here I am. How can I support you? So we began to meet and talk about a one-woman show. And in the process of that, she shared her story, shared material. And the more I saw of that biographical material, the more the headline was, "This wants to be a documentary. This woman's life is so rich and complex, and her humanity is so accessible and so appealing." I knew she was a subject that people were going to want to stay with, and I knew I was going to want to stay with. So, I think that's where films begin, where important documentaries begin, is not just an obsession, but an obsession with a subject that is worthy of that. And Julia certainly is. Her story and the way she lives her life and who she is, and everything that she represents in her storytelling is part of the fabric of the film.
Well, I want people to know, you are a professor, a full-time professor at NYU, Tisch School of the Arts, Kambar Institute of Film and Television, but you also, it's screenwriter, right? A screenplay, I want to say the right word.
Yeah, no, I'm in dramatic writing. I'm a playwright and a screenwriter, and now a director. This is my directing debut.
Well, that's what blows me away. People are commenting here. Bob Johnson says Crossing Delancey is the best. You were the screenwriter for Crossing Delancey.
I wrote it first as a play. It ran off Broadway with Melanie Mayron and Shirley Stoller from Seven Beauties playing the matchmaker. It was directed by Pamela Berlin. Had a nice long run off Broadway. It was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's still produced as a play all over the world. Most recently, a great production in Atlanta that I was flown down to see. It was just fabulous. And then I adapted it from the play into the film. So my worlds are theater and film, and now documentary.
And comedy.
And comedy.
But here's the thing, this is your directorial debut with Julia Scotti, this is amazing.
It's also my producing debut. I produced and directed this, so it's both wearing both hats here in this film, which in documentary and in indie is about putting all the pieces together, not just being, given a big pot of money and go make the film. So it's been all of that experience in terms of the business side and the artistic side has been a real great experience for me. But I think storytelling is storytelling. I think understanding what a great narrative is and what a great shape of a narrative is and what a story engine is, all of the stuff that I teach and do in my own work, figuring that out in the documentary is the same process, except in documentary, you don't invent, you have the materials given to you. And in this case, the materials were the adventure of Julia. I didn't know where that adventure was going to take me, but I knew that she was wonderful, and that I had so grateful that she trusted me to tell her story with authenticity, the same authenticity that she brings to her extraordinary comedy.
And that for me is trust. I have trust issues, as Susan can tell you. And it was very, very hard for me to give her the stuff I gave her, because a lot of it contained such personal information. And to her credit, she was true to her word. She treated everything with care and love. And I, what more could you ask for?
This, I have to tell you, you had a real trust because it came through. I'm going to put the slide up here of the show so people can see the documentary. But Julia Scotti, Funny That Way, the New Fest, newfest.org. You don't want to miss this. But what I have to say is, having seen this documentary, there's not, I mean, I don't know if you left anything on the floor, because it is open. I mean, what is revealed here, and the emotion, and the isolation from your children for so long because you're transgender. I mean, I'm crying, then I'm laughing, and you with your cigarettes all the time, and then the tea.
Yeah. Well, I told Susan, well, I made an internal decision. I said, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be with the idea that it's going to help people who are either trans, going through the transition, or family members who have, trans people in their lives. In any case, I wanted to educate. And I said, the only way to do that is by not holding back. And
hold back.
Well, that was the point. And again, that's a trust issue, and trusting that Susan would handle what I was giving her with the greatest of care and love, and she did.
Thank you.
Oh, it shows so much, and I love the animation and the use. Just how it all comes together.
Yeah. Wonderful animator named Sam Roth.
Sam Roth, shout out Sam, fantastic. Though, when you watch it and you watch how. Julia, I wonder if I should play that clip again when you revealed to America's Got Talent, for those who just are tuning in, because I think it's so powerful, and it proves a point about the trust between the two of you, because I don't know, your openness shows, it's like when you show your humanity, it allows other people to show their humanity. And the two of you created that in the film. You can't create humanity. You have it in you or you don't. You just plucked it out and put it in, on the screen over the course of 4 or 5 years, I understand. All right. Well, my guest, Julia Scotti, Susan Sandler, the film Julia Scotti, Funny That Way. This is Julia on America's Got Talent. And we're going to find that. Is that the one? We have a lot of videos here. I hope I didn't lose that one. That'll make me so. No, here it is. Yay.
We're going to have Howie tell you what he thought.
You are a joy. You have so much to offer. Can I ask you a question? Sure. Why did you start so late in life?
I was 28 when I started, and I did it for 20 years, and then I took 11 years off. I became a teacher, and there was other issues. Do you want to know what they were?
I would like.
Well, for the first 28 years of my life, I was known as Rokc Scotti.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So this is big for me. Yeah.
Well, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you're human. And you're funny.
Thank you.
And you're talented.
Thank you.
And you're brave. And I'm so glad we got to see you.
I can't hear. In the audio.
We lost you.
I know why. Maureen Langen's new microphone. Woohoo!
Okay, I can hear you now.
I know. Sorry about that. I played that again because I think it's riveting, Julia Scotti. And Susan Sandler, the director. So 5 years to work on this? 5 years.
About, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years.
Susan, that's a long process. What was the biggest challenges, or how was the process for you that it took? I mean, it takes what it takes. But
It's actually not, in terms of documentary life. One of the people who was an advisor to me on the film, a wonderful documentary filmmaker named Sam Pollard, who has the Martin Luther King doc that's just opening at the New York Film Festival. And Sam also teaches at NYU Tisch and has been a real supporter of this project. I was showing him cuts throughout those 5 years, obviously, not early on, but, in the year 3 and 4 and 5. And he asked me, how many years? And he said, it's about right. I mean, that's typically what is invested in the making of a documentary, particularly with a subject who is with us, whose life is evolving, and we're traveling on that journey with her. So it's really done. It seems, I know Julia was a little impatient about it, and sometimes I don't think she believed it was ever going to actually materialize. That would talk about an act of faith, And I remember the first time you saw Julia, that was pretty amazing. Your first
I do. It was pretty. I'm not a big fan of seeing myself on anything, on video. But when I saw this thing, when it's over, you're just staring at it like, what did I just see here? It's like my entire life, and it suddenly becomes very real what she's doing. That this is my life, and I'm putting it out here for total strangers. And you're caught between that terror of going, no, I changed my mind, and remembering your original intent when you agreed to let her do it, or when I agreed to let her do it.
And there was extraordinary, the access that Julia gave me and the trust that she showed. And what we see in the film is very much that, we meet someone who has a stage persona, and then we meet someone completely in her private self. And that's the feedback that I'm getting, and that's what we're seeing in the wonderful reviews that are starting to come in, which is so thrilling.
You're killing it at the festival.
Yeah. Well, this is our third festival, so we've been getting reviews throughout. We premiered it in Nantucket. We went on to AGLIF in Austin, and then to Gina Davis's Bentonville Festival, which celebrates all kinds of inclusivity in the media, and we've gotten phenomenal reviews. And what is observed in those reviews is Julia's authenticity and her willingness to. Her vulnerability, which we get to experience in the film. So we meet the private person, and that honesty that she gives us in her comedy, we also understand in her private life. So it's in that way a very, very unusual portrait of a public persona. It's not, she doesn't protect herself in that sense of don't go there. She's very open, and we're very privileged to travel with her.
Well, Susan, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is about you.
I was going to say, if you see this piece of paper behind me, these are the 4 Rules of Comedy by Bill Persky, great screenwriter. And the very number 4 is be vulnerable. And I'm a huge fan of the classic comedians, Chaplin, Keaton, all of them. They're all of their work they were extremely vulnerable people. And, when you're learning to become a comic, it's very hard to let go of, that shecky kind of personality and strip it away so that what people see on stage is your essence. And the same thing is true with this movie. And Susan has managed to, I hate that word, but capture my essence up there too. And that's why I think, we worked so well together.
Well, is number 1 on that list Dance with Poles while you still have the body to do so?
No, number 1, actually.
I would have been number 1 on my list.
In order of appearance, and this is how he said it too. You start with the truth, you stay human, don't reach for ugly, and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you can't get any better than that for rules for comedy, I think.
Oh, it's great. Before I say goodbye to Susan, I just want a couple things. I want to let you folks know that Julia is going to say we're having an after show. We're going to talk about what her dating life was like, what some of the crazy crap people said to her when she transitioned from Rick to Julia. So we're going to get delicious and even deeper. And you're only going to get that at the patreon.com, which is the community. And these are just for you when you subscribe and become a producer of the show, because you are, and you're going to keep the content coming. And you're going to want to go to newfest.org and not miss this. I'm telling you, it's riveting. It's like if you liked Barry Crimmins' documentary about a comic who did a lot to help children of sexual abuse. This has nothing to do with sexual abuse, but if you want to see a documentary that's authentic and riveting about a human being becoming that full human being, your mind's gonna be blown. You're just gonna cry because I keep crying just thinking about it. Susan, I have to ask you this.
Mhm.
I know you love comics. I know how supportive you are. I have been on Nantucket during the comedy festivals with you. I see it firsthand. However, now that you have been on the road with comics,
Yeah.
what do you think of that shit?
I think it's the bravest work there is. I can't imagine what, I was talking to one of my very shy students the other day about the value of studying. Am we getting feedback? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's my crazy cell phone.
Oh, okay. The value of stand-up just in terms of storytelling and taking a lesson from, the Groundlings workshop so that he could just pitch his project. The idea of what it takes to be able to stand in front of a group of people and challenge yourself to make them laugh. I can't conceive of the guts that it takes to find that moment in yourself. But Maureen, I wanted to remember with you, I went to a birthday party of yours in New York at a very Irish pub where
was it the Landmark?
Yes, you took over the back room.
Yes.
And you were in this fabulously sexy little dress. Do you remember that night? Did I dream it? Did that happen? Was that
that
real?
happened. That was my 50th birthday party. Yeah, but I didn't tell people it was a birthday party because I don't like that fuss. So I just invited people to come and have a party, and I had an Irish session, and I had open bar because I'm not cheap, and I had food. Yeah, no, you didn't. And yeah, no, you didn't.
Wow, that was your 50th birthday party?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. You look so beautiful.
What is an Irish session?
Oh, it's when you get the fiddle players and
okay.
Usually they just all get together really and just all sit down like an improv thing. But I hired an Irish trio to do their thing.
Let's pray that we all get together and do the same kind of celebration in New York when life returns. We'll celebrate this film, which we hope will be released January, February of next year.
Release, where will it be? Like it'll be.
I can't talk about. We're finalizing the distribution now. So this New Fest is a place where you can get an early peek at it. Those of you who can join us at New Fest, wonderful. Newfest.org. It's streaming the 16th through the 27th. Tickets are really affordable. I think they're $12 per single, and the passes are not that expensive. But we will be released next year, early next year. So looking forward to coming back and talking about that. Julia doesn't know anything about it.
News to me. I'm just hearing this for the first time.
You'll let me know, and
you're going to get a phone call later.
No, I want to hear. We'll talk. You'll let us know once you know. And I'm so happy you joined us, and you're just so wonderful and so bright and brilliant. And I have it up there, newfest.org. Is there anything else you wanted to promote? That's your thing?
No, just Julia Scotti, Funny That Way. You can find us our Twitter and our Facebook and our beautiful, lots of images of Julia on our Instagram. So can't get enough of her.
Susan, thank you so much. So I'm going to get back to Julia. We're going to talk more about. So Julia, I mean, what an amazing experience to hang out with Susan Sandler.
Oh, please! It's she plays everything so close to the vest, and when you find out a new factoid about her, you just go, "It's one of those." And, she's really an amazing human being and a real role model. At my old age, yes, and so I can imagine how she is for her students. She's terrific.
Yeah, can you imagine she teaches you guys in New York City at the Tisch School for the Arts. I would be all over that if I were you. Would you please, before we stop, we're going to do more and put 5 or 10. We're going to put a short interview on patreon.com to have you people support Maureen Langan, patreon.com to support Maureen Langan. Like I'm third person. I was trying to give you the name. It's patreon.com, Maureen Langan. And I'm going to be bringing great guests to you all the time. Now, Julia, we're going to talk fun stuff in the after show. But I just want to ask you this. You came full circle with your children, and that had to be absolutely heartbreaking. You were estranged for them for how long?
14 years.
I'm so sorry.
Me too.
Is this okay to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It was the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life because there were a couple of things at play.
What did you do? To become Julia?
Yeah,
Was that-
well, to make that decision to move forward. They were young, and I knew it would traumatize them because I came from a broken home too, so I know what it was like to not have a father around, you know.
And this is like I see you when I raise you. Yeah.
Right, and this was 20 years ago, so it was a whole different world back then, even than it is now. And so, you know, I knew I would be basically killing their father, and I hoped against hope that we could somehow work it out, and that, you know, we could get through this as a family. It didn't work that way. It didn't happen that way, and I just at some point just they let, you know, it was made clear to me that it would be better if I weren't around, and so with, you know, I backed away until they, you know, I felt if they ever wanted to be back in my life.
How old were they at that time when you said it was?
9 and 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you have a relationship with them now?
Yeah, they're wonderful kids. They're wonderful, wonderful.
And it's all close and good?
Still bumps, but yeah, it's better with my son than with my daughter. But it's I love her I love them equally. I don't have a favorite. You know?
Yeah, you do. No, I'm kidding. No, I get it. It's like when I was, you know, married, and you go to the doctor's office and they go, you know, marital status. I go, some days better than others.
Yeah.
Julia's going to stay with me, you guys, and if you want to see this after show, we will be putting it up at, pardon me.
I'm doing it topless too, by the way. So if
Totally.
you got to contribute if you want to see that.
And we could talk a bit about that. We'll talk about dating. We'll talk about, you know, the things you do or don't say in general. You might not run into a nice person like Julia who's going to explain it, but we're going to talk about it after. And you can find that at patreon.com/Maureen Langan. And this will be up next week on all the podcasts from Apple to Spotify. So, you know, you guys, this was the launch of the second season of Hanging with Langan. I'm so grateful for those of you who have been so supportive. And for Julia, I just give you Julia Scotti, Eddie Clark, make you realize how wonderful life can be. Love you, babe.
Love you too, Eddie.
No, that's Eddie Clark.
I know Eddie Clark.
Oh, I thought you said Betty.
No, Betty. I don't know who Betty Clark is.
Well,
but I know Eddie.
Get to her. We could get to her. Francis O'Keefe says.
Do you know? By the way, do you know Eddie?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a very fun. Oh, okay.
He's been my guest co-host when I had a show in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's really funny too.
Great guy and gentleman. I love Julia Scotti, says Francis. She does so much to make others' lives better and brighter. She is a total joy of a human being. I love her so much.
Thank you, Francis.
And then I think Bob, I don't know if Bob, let me see what Bob said. Oh, okay. Bob asks, I need advice from Julia. I recently went back to my apartment in New York City after sheltering on Long Island for the COVID. I met a neighbor who changed. Her name is Leah, had a deeper voice, facial hair, and her boobs were gone. Is it okay to comment on the difference? Like, hey, Leah, you've changed, or should I just ignore it? That's a good question.
Well, is she close to Leah? I mean, is he close to Leah?
Are you close to Leah? I think they're neighbors. Sorry.
Okay. If he talked to her before, you know, find a gentle way to say, hey, congratulations. You know, trans people are not afraid. Most of us are not afraid to talk about what we went through, because we want to educate and inform and help people understand what it is we're going through. So be gentle, but approach him and ask, you know, whatever you want to ask.
Well, I got to tell you, though, I get a little nervous because I made a big mistake once. I knew someone who transitioned, but I only knew you as Rick, and I had not seen you visually as Julia. And
Are you talking about you?
Yeah, Maureen Langan.
Okay.
So I see you as Rick. This is an example of what happened. And you became Julia, but I've not seen you as Julia.
Right.
Ever. So when I talked to you, I'm like, I go, I'm so sorry. And I kept doing that. And I just did it again. She got so upset with me and said, but it was new in the process. And I said, listen, you've had a whole life to get used to this. Right. Give me an hour. Give me a friggin' hour.
I'm really, when it comes to stuff like that, because I have friends that I've had for 100 years who who had the problem, and I get that. I totally understand that. I mean, it's perfectly normal. What bothers me and what bothers most trans people is if you don't try to change it. I have a friend from childhood who will call me periodically and still calls me Richie. And it's like, man, you got to stop that because I'm not going to take your calls anymore if you keep doing this because I can't help it. That's how I know you. I go, yeah, that's how you knew me. You know, I knew you as a total asshole when you were a teenager, but I don't keep calling you a total asshole. You're an adult. You're an old man now.
Yeah.
You know, make the effort. If you don't make the effort, then stay away from me because I really.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my
Give the
life.
respect, and you give people the opportunity to show that respect. I've witnessed it firsthand. Eddie says, I know the feeling about my mistake. I did the same thing when I saw Julia at a gig. It bothered me for days afterwards. Comment to Eddie.
Eddie's he's such a sweetheart, and I love him to death. And you know what? The fact that he made that effort, and he's just, I couldn't stay mad at him.
You're forgiven, Eddie. You're forgiven.
Yeah.
Get over it for the love of God.
I'm gonna giving him the blessing, you know.
All right, so I'm going to say goodbye to you folks for now, and I'm going to remind you to go Don't Make Me Hate You. Get that at patreon.com. Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirts. Here we go. Here, Don't Make Me Hate You.
Oh.
You can go.
You know who would like one of those?
Who?
A certain comedian that has a movie out about her.
Well, then, she may get one. I'll send you one.
Okay.
So if you guys go to maureenlangan.com, all the information's there, hangingwithlangan.com. We'll see you again. And you can follow the after show, not now. You have to wait. It'll be out next week on patreon.com. And my guest today, I thank Susan Sandler and I thank Julia Scotti. One more shout out for this fantastic documentary. You guys, it's like pennies to watch this thing. It's streaming nationally, newfest.org. You hear that? Newfest.org, October 16th through the 27th, streaming nationally. Julia Scotti, funny that way, directed by Susan Sandler, who wrote Crossing Delancey, by the way, brilliant woman. I'll have this all up on Hanging with Langan page. Oh, Julia has, see, I told you to remind me. She wants to promote this because I'm not doing enough for her. Let me bring her back in.
I have this.
What do we have?
It's okay. Hello, Boys, I'm Back is my CD. You can get it on.
Hold it up longer.
Oh, all right. There it is.
You went through all this. Hello, boys. I'm back.
I'm back on Uproar Records. You can download it on Pandora, on Spotify, on what's that one? Jeff Bezos' thing. What is it?
Amazon?
Amazon. You can download
maybe Amazon.
it. Anywhere where you can
like
download
that.
stuff.
I'll trade you a shirt for that.
I will. Yeah, send me your address and I'll send it out to you.
Yeah.
I can,
all right, Julia,
you're the only person in America still with a CD player, but yes.
I don't like your attitude. No, I'll download it.
Okay.
Peace and love, ladies. Fabulous beginning to season 2. Molly Barber, she was the romper room lady. My friend Molly, she was romper room lady.
Not the original, though.
Well, in New Jersey, Molly, were you original? I don't know. I don't think they're not the one in 1940. No, she's our age.
It was the 50s, but who's counting? That lady. Well, I see you.
She never saw Maureen. It was so hurtful.
I see.
All right,
Thank
you guys.
for making me your first guest. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
what an honor. And to all of you out there, we'll see you again. Bye, Wig. Mwah.
Mwah.